hey, what's up? When the next part, I shall again lead with this caveat. Please, if there is an issue with speech lag, just listen to what I'm saying. Insofar as you're getting the audio in your ears, you're good. Alrighty, so in the last part I was speaking about how it is that I rejected all things in the darkness, right? I kept things quite fluffy. I kept everything very surface level. Like, I believed in a God, but I didn't want to know too much about him because I just did not want to have to account or be responsible for spiritual activity in whatever. I just wanted to keep things surface level and shallow. Let me just keep, like, I want to live a normal life, you know, get married one day, picket fence, 2.5 kids. Like, let's just keep things basic. Ain't no need to, you know, commune or communicate with the other realm. It's too much for me. It's overwhelming and exasperating. So we're just gonna keep things basic, light, and just surface level. And that mindset rescued me from getting involved in darkness. But if I tell you the amount of sorcery that was already in operation in my life by the time I got to, guys, like what, 23, 22, 23. I had one of my bosses when I was about, indeed, 22. I found out only when I came to Christ that when I quit my job, when I left that job to go and work somewhere else, she cast spells on me so that I cannot prosper in my career. So I can't get very far. I still went on right ahead to, I guess, get elevated up the corporate ladder. I was cool. And it was only when I came to Jesus that I found out that that boss tried to block my progress, my growth. I spoke about bosses who block growth of their subordinates and all the people in corporate that are deliberately trying to prevent the youth from thriving in one of my other previous series, my sets. So please go watch that and figure out what it is that God has to say about that, right? I had a boss of that nature do that to me. So at some point in my unfortunate life, I would have been this very intelligent, bright young woman that would have met with brick walls that I would not be able to understand. But it must also be gauged that nothing here on this earth, albeit this earth, the god of it being the devil, happens outside of the will of God and the never mind will of God, but God is sovereign. What I want to say, permission. Only look at what happened in the book of Job when the devil, well, Satan was busy roaming up and down with the sons of God. The Lord is the one that presented Job before him and not the other way around. He said, have you considered my servant Job? And then the devil went on to ask God if at all he can test Job. And the Lord was like, go on right ahead. You can do this much and not much more. So it turns out that God not only has got control and dominion over what the devil can do to Christians, but also unbelievers. Because I was not saved, and yet I had this like boss that bewitched me when I was just 22. I only got born again a good 5 years later, and yet I still grew like weeds up the corporate ladder. It's like her witchcraft just hit brick walls. It just smoked up in the sky like incense and could no longer be comprehended as such once it had evaporated. Do you understand? It did not do anything. It didn't touch me. But here it is now that I'm a born again child of the living God, and it looks as if though I keep on hitting brick walls. It looks like I am bewitched. It looks like I'm cursed, when curses have been in operation all my life that just did nothing. They never know. In operation is a bad word or a bad bunch of words. Rather, curses have been sent me that did zero. They did like nothing in the run-up to. There is just so much sorcery being practiced by Africans. I mean, it likely is just the world at large, but you know, I'm in Africa, so I speak to my ecosystem. It is so bad, like in the cosmos, the spiritual war that is happening. It's so horrendous that if you were to be given spiritual goggles, metaphysical goggles to gaze upon the activity in the cosmos, you would take them off straight away. It's menacing. The number of satanic practices that human beings on earth are doing, the portals, the little wormholes essentially that they keep on opening, their seances, their Ouija board rituals. The only thing that is protecting the human race from human beings destroying the earth with demons, with devils, with satanic activity, with metaphysical activity, the only thing blocking basically entropy in that regard, capsizing of the situation or an implosion, the only thing blocking it is the fact that these entities that human beings keep running towards in order to achieve metaphysical goals here on earth, like to give themselves ill-gotten gains, is the fact that these entities themselves have got a linear regression constraint set that they cannot exceed. They cannot just do whatever people want them to do, which is why I find witches incredibly naive. Like, you seriously think that you can conjure up a spirit, something that has got an eternal existence. It is past more years than you, and in the future will continue to exist after you breathe your last. You think you can go and grab an entity, an ancient spirit that has been in existence for that long, and command it? commanded, for crying out loud, to do what you wanted to do. It's got power over you, dominion over you. We are made a little lower than the angels. If we are, okay, so there are people who believe that demons are disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. If we are made a little lower than the angels, we can also trust that even those demons are higher than us, because they are the mix of human DNA and angelic DNA, which is loftier than human DNA. So it would be angels, it would be demons, and then it would be us. So when you're dealing with not only something that has been spiritually created loftier than you, but it also does not have a death date. It does not have an expiration date like you do. The finality, the beginning that you have and the end that you inevitably will have, it does not have these meager 80 years here on earth. How in the world do you think that something that is as ancient as that, with such a long ago start date and a perpetual end date, like there is no end date, it's infinite, it's just around, it's not going anywhere? How in the world do you imagine you can rock up and start to teach it, train it, tell it what to do? It's like kids coming into a classroom in first grade and telling the teacher what to teach them. Telling the teacher, I don't like the 2 times table, please do the 3 times table today. Or telling the teacher, I don't like English, please teach me French. I'm sorry, there's a set curriculum and you will learn it whether or not you like it. If you don't like it, get out, go get homeschooled. Find yourself somebody else is going to teach you exactly what you want and tailor make it to your own desires. You little child, you are irresponsible. The demons look at us that way sometimes. Like when people practice witchcraft and they go, literally, you go to a Ouija board and you summon a spirit, moving your hands around on a Ouija board and it's spelling things and this entity rocks up and it speaks. You are calling something that doesn't have to answer you when you call it first and foremost, and when it answers you, it doesn't have to tell you the truth, and when you tell it to go, it doesn't have to go. You've opened a door that has given it access to a world that they've always wanted access to. Why would they leave? That is why people who dabble with dark arts, like who play with Ouija boards and stuff, get tormented all their lives until they either give themselves to Christ or they seek out some kind of a temporary exorcism in the Catholic Church or whatever. Like, you are playing with things that are bigger, loftier than you, and they are your teachers. And they will teach you their curriculum. So once you open the door to them, once you enroll in their school, you're gonna learn what they want you to learn. And you will graduate at the time they say you must graduate, after 12 years as opposed to just maybe 9. You are gonna follow their rules all the way up until you die, and they get to also be the ones to decide if you graduate. So nobody walks in a greater power as a sangoma than what it is that demons will allow them to walk in. And nobody can do a spell that devils are not prepared to carry out. And the thing that determines the preparedness of devils to carry out the work of a spell, for crying out loud, is whether or not God has given them that permission. So in the same way that you're in the school of demons, demons are in the overarching school of God, in the sense that God Almighty is like the principal of the school, and the principal of the school is the one that has got power to change the curriculum. So if at all the student feels like they want to learn the 3 times table instead of the 2 times table today, and they tell the teacher, I'm not learning the 2 times table, I want the 3, and this demon is like, and this teacher is like, my goodness, this child is just I can't deal, I don't want to do what this child wants me to do. I'm a teacher, I'm going to teach what I want to teach. But then this teacher goes then to the principal of the school, and is like, you're not going to believe it, there was this disrespectful child in my class that is insisting, over like lunch in the staff room or whatever, they're insisting that they want to do the 3 times table instead of the 2 times table. They're just so annoying. Sometimes God can be like, have you considered this particular person? Or the Lord can be like, you must give that person what they want. God, for his own purposes, it's written in his word, okay, that the Lord has set apart everything for his purposes, including the wicked for the day of trouble. Judas, for instance, is not a dude that just decided to betray the Son of Man. He had to do it. He was set apart from long ago to be the one to turn his back against the Son of Man, that prophecy might be fulfilled. That is the sovereignty of God. It is a tough pill to swallow for some, but it is the reality of God's sovereignty. Do you understand what I'm saying? Jacob I have loved, yet Esau I have hated. He has predestinated everything from eternity past to walk in a particular fashion for his own purposes and his own wisdom. His thoughts are higher than ours, and his ways are higher than ours. They're lofty. Our thoughts are not his, and his thoughts are not ours, etc. So So he's in the heavens, he does whatever he pleases, and we don't understand the comprehensive suite of what God is doing. And you know what? That mystery of godliness, we will never entirely uncover it. I believe we're going to be spending eternity trying to learn God. He will never ever be uncovered entirely. But if anything, it is the glory of man to seek out a matter. The glory of God is to conceal a matter, and the glory of man is to search it out. So we are going to be glorified in heaven for searching out God for all of eternity. We will never have the full comprehensive knowledge or understanding of who this being is and what he's doing, and we will ever be learning. There's work in heaven. There's work in heaven. Do you understand? So that's what's going to keep us busy for all of eternity. So therefore, his mysteries are unsearchable. They are unsearchable, and they are broad, they are wide, they are deep, they're extreme. And so for those reasons, we can never really understand much of why he does certain things. But what we can trust is that he is holy and just, and so can do no wrong. And in believing that, walking therefore in faith, we then capitulate to his will when it is unfolding in our lives, albeit being different or contrary to what it is that we would much rather have happen. Job would have much rather not have gone through what he went through, but he went through it, and when he went through it, he stuck to God because, you know, it is him that he trusts. He is good, he is holy, he knows what he's doing. And ultimately Job was, proven as a man of God and was restored to everything that he needed, lacking and nothing. So therefore, if the Lord decides that which you want to bewitch that little boy in the corner, I am not happy that you should want to do that, but I am going to allow the devil that you want to use to stop that little boy from passing grade 9. I'm going to allow the devil to distract that little boy, to make him sleepy during exams, to make him sleepy when he's studying, to make it difficult for him to get anything done. And I'm going to allow, therefore, when this boy fails grade 9, for this witch that bewitched this boy to believe that his witchcraft works, and so think there is power in the sorcery, because I have given him warnings time and time again to repent, to walk away from this darkness. So what I'm going to do this time around is give him prosperity in the darkness, so that he can go to the abyss, to the end of his life. He is reprobate and handed over without repenting, because this is how much time I gave him to do better. I showed him over and over again, witches, you would be lying to yourselves if you said that every last spell that you have ever cast has worked. There are people on whom, witchcraft lands like water on a greasy body. It just slips right off, like nothing happens. You spend $1,000 and nothing happens. You put people like dominoes and nothing happens. You cast death curses. Understand, guys, if witchcraft was prosperous 100% to work, you must understand less and less assassins would get hired to kill people. People would just turn to witchcraft and do death spells, because there is no body trail, there is no fingerprints, there's no evidence, there is no there are no track marks that can be followed. There's no evidence, there's no dusting of fingerprints. So more and more people would assassinate people using it. Like the murder of AKA, the people who killed him still stand to face prison and national, like people in the country just being enraged and whatnot. Persecution for the rest of their lives for having killed their darling or whatever. It would have been better for whoever it is that hired the hit on that said celebrity to just go and do a death curse, and that's it. Just do a death curse, because then the dude would have died like naturally in a car, either with a heart attack or car accident or whatever. If they worked 100% of the time, people would capitalize on the fact that there are no fingerprints on witchcraft. They would try and do everything. Instead, there are still contract assassins being hired. Instead, there are still people stabbing people to death. There are still people sabotaging in a very natural sense by participating in unsavory business practices their colleagues in the office so that they don't get the promotion. And if at all an investigation was conducted and they got busted, they could not only lose their jobs, but their whole careers, be blocked, blacklisted from ever applying for jobs again in the future because of this very taboo practice. Plus, they could also be splashed all over the media as corrupt human beings. There are so many risks in doing things in the physical realm where you get your hands grubby, because then people can figure you out. But witchcraft grants you anonymity. You get to just tip a person over and nobody has to know that you did it. That is the attraction that witches have to witchcraft. But they don't use it. They put their lives at risk sometimes, in danger, doing things in the physical realm, because witchcraft does not guarantee them success every single time. Next part, my battery's low.